Madam Tennis Master, ladies and gentlemen. In today's world, I think we're more likely to be familiar with or admire pop icons or movie stars than possibly 19th century lyric poets or Renaissance painters. That's unfortunate, but given the prevalence or the overwhelming prevalence of the mass media in our society, it's probably no wonder. But that's a regrettable fact. Essentially, we can learn a great deal from Renaissance painters and lyric poets. And I think that they have something relevant to teach us and something tangible in way of their materials that we can use in our own lives to face our dilemmas and our challenges. And what happened to me was that I came across the study of Rembrandt rather accidentally and found that there was a great deal in his life that interested me and really did affect me and was relevant to me. And so I'd like to share that with you. Rembrandt, for example, a wonderful biography was written about him by Simon Schama. And essentially, he said that Rembrandt admired so much another painter, Rubens, Peter Paul Rubens, 17th century Dutch painter in his lifetime, that he actually went and dressed like Rubens. He would fancy himself like Rubens in his own self-portrait, rather ambitious for his time. But what struck me about what Rembrandt did was that he really put himself in the picture. He drew upon Rubens, he put himself in dialogue with Rubens, and I thought, what an incredible thing to do. Now, why would I be interested in that, or how did I come across that? Essentially, I had a rather unenviable experience. I've been studying for a PhD and it didn't work out. I was out of work at the time, and my teaching license that I was hoping to get, it wasn't going to happen. So essentially, I was facing a pretty bad moment in life. And I thought, well, I'm job searching. I'm studying how to write my cover letters and my resumes, and what should I do with my spare time? So having been in grad school for about 8 years, and required to read a tremendous amount of material, I said, I'm going to read something of my choice. And what did I reach for? Being a sociology student, a classic in sociology by George Simmel, a book basically entitled Rembrandt, a philosophical analysis about 100 pages long, or 150 pages long, of Rembrandt's paintings. Short on socio-historical content, not a biography by any means, and there were no pictures at all. Well, what happened was I realized that I really needed to know more. It was a great book, a fantastic essay, but I just wanted to know more about Rembrandt, about his life and his paintings. And so I decided to do a little bit of reading. And first step that I took really to put myself in the picture, and I don't think I was aware of it at the time, was to go to the local library, take out a good biography, get one of those oversized books with Rembrandt's pictures, so that I could have it right there at hand whenever something came up and the picture was referenced. And I said, okay, what does that look like? And so I did. And what I realized that Rembrandt had not only a very interesting life, but it was not a very easy life. He certainly had losses. He had suffered the loss of a wife and a son. I had been widowed at a very young age, and so I identified with that very quickly. But he also had a lot of family problems and legal problems, and here I was with tremendous amount of student debt. I maxed out my student loans to about $150,000. I really had no idea what I was going to do for a career. I was a substitute teacher, and so I was basically out of work for the summer, as I said, and trying to figure out what my new goals were going to be, basically. What I also knew about him was that he had a lot of financial difficulties as well, and I think that reading about him and identifying with some of his experiences, seeing that despite the fact that he was so distant in time and place from me, that I could relate to his experiences and his upset, his losses, I think that gave me the courage to keep going, to keep looking for a job, to keep searching for what I needed to do in life. But it also made me see that I had to put myself in the picture, that I really had to take an active role, to be a participant in this. I couldn't sit back and say, I'm going to let things passively happen. What was also obvious to me, however, about my study of Rembrandt, as I continued reading the biography, was that Rembrandt, despite all of his experiences, never stopped working. And I realized I had a lot of work to do. I had to work not only to find a job, to think about a career. I also had the kind of work you do of what we might call grief work, when you've gone through a number of losses and you realize, my gosh, I have to rearrange my whole life, my goals, restructure what I'm doing. But there was also something else I realized about putting myself in the picture, and that was that because I wasn't in school anymore after 8 years of graduate school and a teaching program, I realized I might come to the conclusion that somehow learning had stopped, that I didn't need to continue reading or perhaps writing. And writing was always a very difficult area for me in graduate school and even before that. So I decided to keep writing, and I decided to keep reading. And after a couple of years, came up with some really good ideas for putting together a writing file. And basically, writing more about literature, basically, learning a new field. And I did that for about 2 years in depth. And right now I have about 350 pages of like a writing file. That's notes and writing and citations and work towards projects that I don't think I would have done had I not read that biography. Now for me, it was all serendipity. It was an accident. I pick up a book, I say, who is Rembrandt anyway? But the next time around, it could be somebody else. It could be Frida Kahlo. It could be James Baldwin. It could be Emily Dickinson, who I actually did study as well. I think the writers and the artists that we look at have a tremendous power in putting us in the picture, in making us be inspired. And I'd like to share that with you, or glad to.